The internet's new reality show is in some serious trouble. Insane hosting costs for their website, getting their set swatted while live, all of the host dirt being dug up by the audience, resulting in one person being kicked off, another leaving, and a third contestant going through mental turmoil. It's to the point where I imagine the show will have a hard time pushing on. We've got a lot to catch up on with Fishtank. Hello ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to the Tom Dark channel. I'm your host, Tom Dark, and Fishtank is the reality show brainchild of Jet Neptune, for the most part funded by Sam Hyde. And the basic premise of the show is for the audience to watch a bunch of contestants on security cameras go about their lives and complete challenges within the confines of a contained house. I made a video about a week ago when the show was just getting started, expressing the amount of hype I had for it and how I was pumped to see what went down. A lot of you guys seem to agree with that, general sentiment. And given everything that has happened so far, it's hard to really grasp the fact that it's only been like maybe 10 days since that video came out, because a lot of crazy shit has happened in the last week and a half, and I want to talk about it. So the first signs of trouble started with Sam tweeting out that Fishtank had been banned by Google. No idea how that's justifiable, but we're looking into solutions. Probably going to be a couple of days at least. But he later followed this up by saying he had not actually been banned from Google, and the actual issue came down to hosting costs for the website. False alarm, turns out the hosting cost is $30,000 every 3 days, not every month, and my bank account is drained. We'll restore ASAP, but this might take till Monday. So he was under the impression that it was $30,000 every month, not every 3 days, which would make the monthly hosting cost of this project $300,000, which is insane. Not to mention whatever the rent on the house is, paying for food for the contestants, paying Jet and the other sharks who help run the show and make sure it's all going well, technical staff to keep the site up, web development. I mean, this is an insanely expensive project, and as far as I'm aware, Sam and his team do have a good amount of money. I mean, Sam obviously owns his Porsche, right? But I don't think they have quite enough money to blow through $300,000 in 1 month, plus another $150,000 for the next 2 weeks of the show, as it's meant to be like a 6-week thing, which would make like $450,000. And then on top of that, they need money to keep renting the house while the show's actually going on, and then they need to rent it afterwards while it's cleaned. And then there's a bunch of other variables as well. I mean, there are just so many costs associated with this project, and despite the fact they've made some serious money on the site through season passes and super chats, I'm sure, it seems unrealistic to me that they've made enough money to justify dropping $300,000 on it. Now, they are selling season passes, as I said, at $40 a pop, and considering how the show has a lot of attention right now, it would be reasonable to assume that they've definitely sold a few thousand season passes, right? One could assume that they've sold 10,000 season passes, which would make for $400,000. But if you subtract all of the costs associated, you probably would have less than $100,000, which is then likely distributed among the people involved. Plus, you have the cash prize for the contestants. I mean, this is an expensive show, right? And so, with that figure in mind, they may not be making that much money off the project. Now, I have no idea how much they're actually making on this. I just ran some bullshit numbers real quick to give you guys an idea of what's going on in terms of like how expensive it is. For all I know, they sold 30,000 or 40,000 season passes, and they're, definitely in the green. But even at that, even if they're making that much money, watching $300,000 leave your bank account in 1 month is not a fun experience. So I'm sure they're trying to work on ways to get those costs down. It looks like they've also had some other issues with Google as well regarding some possible terms of service violations. So overall, it seems like from a logistical standpoint, the show has just been a total nightmare to launch and maintain, and it probably will continue to be that way given everything that's happening, right? And on top of all of this, the house was even swatted at one point. The police actually showed up, all the fish had to leave the house, and it was just kind of a disaster for a few hours there. This next clip is courtesy of Fish Watch Live.
Oh, okay. I need you guys to come down to the okay. I'm really sorry that this happened.
So that totally broke the immersion of the show because the fish had to leave the house 1 week in. Obviously, this is not the fault of the people running it. It's not Jet's fault. It's actually the fault of the swatter himself, obviously, who ended up ruining a lot of these things, right? Additionally, the show was unable to be on their website for a time due to server costs and then further issues, and instead it was streamed to YouTube for a time with just the one camera in the living room being active. which kind of defeats the purpose of the show a little bit, but people were following it at that point and wanted to keep up to date with what was going on, so they were willing to watch the one cam if that was all they had, right? Beyond that, there was also some pretty crazy drama with the contestants themselves inside the house over the past few days, which is what the show is all about, of course, but it resulted in a few contestants leaving the show, and it doesn't look like they're coming back. To get the elephant in the room taken care of, some of the show's fans began digging up stuff about Simmons. Simmons is the Chinese immigrant and musician who entered the show with all the other contestants, and fans began digging up as much dirt as they could on everyone in the house, with the most worrisome stuff being about Simmons himself. Now, it started with relatively innocent material like him cross-dressing being posted to his Instagram page, which, you know, some people may consider that weird, but at the end of the day, it's like relatively harmless. And then they found some Amazon listings under his name, Simmons, which appeared to be books for sale on the platform. So people found these specific product pages for some of these books and began digging into the reviews themselves to see how people felt about the books who were aware of them before the show's launch, and that way their opinion probably wouldn't be tainted by, you know, whatever they saw on the show, and it would just be a raw reaction to the book itself. Their reactions were anything but positive. Do not waste your money on this garbage. It's mostly about what to do to hook up with campers and staff. Telling people that being pretty, flirty, and easy is how to get popular. No tips on working with kids, what is expected of staff, or any positive information. As a past staff at 7 camps around the US, I thought this book would be a great resource for my daughter who was working as staff at her first camp. She was shocked and appalled and noticed all the spelling and grammatical errors. She's taking it to camp so other staff can have a great laugh. Again, do not buy this garbage. I probably should write my own. And then people claimed to be finding specific quotes from the book which described how to hook up with campers, which looked really bad. What if a camper has a crush on you? You have 4 options. The first is a must. Inform his or her cabin counselor or division leader. 2, quit the job before you make the biggest mistake of your life. 3, wait till he or she's 18 if you really love him or her. 4, won't matter if you're under 17 or 18 depending on which state you're in. From this quote, people began promoting the idea that Simmons was a devious individual who was not only a danger to summer camp attendees, but also a liability to the show in general, because obviously the narrative that someone like this is on your TV show and is sticking around is very bad. The host, Jason Goldstraker, began asking for these quotes to be sent to him on Twitter in preparation for going to the house, and while all of this was going on, the super chats were active inside the tank, allowing viewers to donate and ask Simmons what was up, as well as many making comments implying he was some kind of predator.
I give Simmons 3 years before he is found across the border with an 8-year-old.
Will, the host, arrives on the show again and has a sit down with the fish inside the living room. Here he reads quotes he was sent by fans and asks Simmons about them. Simmons' only real response, meanwhile, is to say that it was a while ago and then say he doesn't think it's from his book.
Excerpts of books that I like on my phone. I'm not a freak. Alright? I mean, this is something I saved as an inspiring quote. There was a counselor who worked for a camp for decades. Everybody loves him. But he got fired because he offered drinks to underage girls and allegedly raped her. Here's how to do it the right way. And I don't know, what is the right way? What's the, how does that, where does that go? You don't know either?
It was a while ago. Yeah.
What?
Okay.
Did you say it was a while ago?
No, I don't think that's my book.
It's probably a hacker. Here's another, well. Sexual harassment warning, like every culture there are customs when you hit on boys and girls. So does camp counselors who work at camp nowadays are mostly college kids from all over the world. Of course they would expect a romantic experience. You gotta do it the right way or you might get fired. What's that referring to? What does that mean? That struck my curiosity. That piqued my interest. It made me wonder. Questions cropped up in my mind.
Yeah.
What could this be referring to?
That's fair.
Jason Goldstraker also reads other quotes while the fish awkwardly listen to him, and this was made even more awkward by the fact that the fish are doing a challenge where they take care of a fake baby, which cries. So while this confrontation is happening, you can hear a baby crying, and also what sounds like someone loudly hacking in the background, just like having a rough time with their intestines, you know?
What's this picture of this, like, 11-year-old says into long legs? That made me go, I'm like, what the arms? Okay.
Why is it funny, bro?
Sylvia, did you see the picture?
Yeah.
What is it? What is it?
Some weird.
For counselors, be nice, be polite, be the big brother of everybody else. Be a bit naughty. This is actually like hell.
Okay. Yeah.
Hell. How do I tell you? Oh, man.
Well, Simmons, allow me to say something that you'll understand in your language. Wu Yao Ba Mi Tichu Ji Mu. Translation: I'm kicking you off the show.
Okay.
Effective immediately, we'll be walking you out, taking you to a bus station in Fall River, and saying goodbye.
Okay.
You have 1.5 minutes to get your
Okay.
Thank you. Go ahead.
Can I sing a send-off song?
Yes, please do. You can put the baby down also, Simmons.
And at this moment, Jason Goldstriker tells Simmons that he's kicked off the show and has 90 seconds to pack his bags. The other fish seem to be in disbelief at what just happened, and John, the resident speech impediment having Andrew Tate fan, makes his way to the upstairs bathroom and seems like he's in there crying. This is possibly because he had confided in Simmons one day prior about something very personal to him. Now, someone he had made a connection with in the tank is completely gone, and according to the crew, he's some kind of freak. So John did not take it too well. You know, he's in the bathroom, he's going through it, as they say.
Hey, John. John, you in there? John. Hey, John. Hey, John. You okay? Can I come in? Hey, John, if you need a break or something, just come downstairs, okay?
Now, as this is happening, Sylvia, who has honestly been one of the less interesting people on the show so far, which I did not expect, goes upstairs to give her thoughts to the camera on everything. And in the middle of it, Morrow comes in and announces that he wants to leave the house. So he packs his bags and he does in fact leave the home. 2 of the fish left on the same day. Definitely a huge blow to the show. I mean, these people were supposed to be eliminated eventually via the other fish voting them off. And instead, one of them had to be forcibly removed and the other left of his own accord because he felt uncomfortable with how much things were heating up. Meanwhile, it seems the other fish are also having issues. On Twitter, some images of Violetta began surfacing, which appeared to be somewhat scandalous. You guys can imagine what kind of pictures I'm talking about. And after that point, they were referenced in super chats, and she got kind of upset about that. So she talked to the camera to express her hatred for people spreading those images of her.
Like that stuff? You're a sick, disgusting freak. You're a f***ing addicted freak. Okay? Anyway. So, if anyone's talking about stuff like that, now you know, I cleared it up, you know the truth, okay? It's f***ing gross. And, whoever's talking about that shit or looking at it, I'm gonna crush you like a bug. I'll crush you like a bug. And, Bloody Army, we're charging into battle. We're gonna win this game. So, wait, is this Simmons' bed? Holy shit. Oh god.
Honestly, I feel kind of bad for her. I feel like those images didn't need to be out there. They didn't need to be spread. You know, whatever you say about her, a lot of people will shame her for those images being taken in the first place. I feel like she didn't deserve to have them leaked to the public, you know? That's kind of a dick move, I guess. And following this, the contestants proceeded to get rid of Simmons' bed.
Simmons!
Meanwhile, Simmons officially had packed his bags quickly and left the tank, being sent to the nearest bus station. This is where the shenanigans from inside the tank began to spill out to the rest of the world, and the drama fire only got larger and larger. And Morrow posted a pretty nice video acknowledging that he wanted to leave the house because he felt uncomfortable. He just felt like he wasn't in a good environment for him personally. He couldn't take the stress, and honestly, fair enough, you know, maybe he didn't know what he was getting himself into.
Fishtank. So I just want to start this video off by saying thank you to everyone who supported me, who's supporting me right now. I want to say thank you to Jet, who gave me the opportunity to be on this show. Thank you to the whole team of Fishtank. They were amazing. Everyone there was super nice and chill. The reason why I left was because I just didn't feel comfortable being there after what happened with the person that starts with the S being a P. I didn't feel comfortable being there, and I felt like sick to my stomach. I felt like my stomach was like turning around when I found that out. It was just like a weird feeling, and I just didn't feel comfortable being there, especially because I was his roommate and I would sleep next to him. I slept next to him for a week, and it was just something that it just like, and I can't explain it, but it felt really like just disgusting and weird being there. But that's the main reason why I'm no longer part of the show. But I do want to thank everyone. It was an amazing experience, and thank you to the whole team of Fishtank.
Now, some, like Frank Hassel, were critical of this decision, while others were pretty indifferent or supportive. Overall, I'd say the majority of the response I saw was pretty happy for him having been on, and they just wanted to thank him for his service to people as a part of their 24-hour entertainment cycle. They weren't too vindictive over the fact he wanted to leave. I mean, honestly, I think the majority of people would probably leave in that situation given how heated things got in the house, you know? Now, after this, a stage was held in the Fishtank Discord, during which Simmons gave his own statements about the book. He claimed that what was said in those books was taken out of context and misconstrued, and he was not some kind of predator of any kind. Frank Hassel also attended this stage to ask Simmons some questions and see what was up with him. Additionally, there are some memes overlaid on this recording. Keep in mind, I'm not responsible for these. They were added before I got my hands on it. You know, you can choose to enjoy them or not enjoy them, however you see fit.
There was a point I saw a clip of you picking up a pair of underwear and sniffing it.
That's a good question.
Can you explain what that was about?
I don't remember that I pick up anybody else's underwear except the fishnet.
Was it your underwear? Because there's a clip of you clearly kind of picking up underwear and sniffing it. Was it your own underwear or somebody else's?
It's probably my own underwear.
So you sniff your own underwear?
It's probably my own underwear because I wasn't sure it was washed.
Well, the underwear wasn't in your room.
Now, a lot of these questions were kind of dumb. I mean, the people on the stage were just f***ing around and alternating from asking real questions about real tweets to asking about fake tweets to asking why Simmons had a restraining order against him.
Simmons, I just have 2 questions for you. First one would be like, how old were the kids counseling in question?
At the summer camp?
Yep.
They were teenagers, and they were from like 8 to 16.
8 to 16. Okay, great. And the second question is, how are you gonna defend yourself when I try to ass you with my 5x9-inch black dragon dildo in public the second I see you?
Wow.
Do you have any sort of defense for that? Do you have like a shield or any sort of...
That's an ironic question. That's an ironic question. I'm not going to answer it.
Overall, a lot of people seem to be expressing relief over Simmons being removed from the house, and a lot of people enjoyed the incessant mockery that he was getting. Frank, on the stage, was threatening to beat Simmons if he saw him in real life, which I can play a clip of here. I'm probably going to have to slightly censor for YouTube purposes.
The joke is, if you're an adult and you look at a kid with weirdly long legs, you're not supposed to into it.
I might find you and beat you to death.
Well, that was kind of rude.
Now, diving back inside the tank, John, meanwhile, is still taking things pretty rough and having a hard time. It seems like he was throwing up, he was feeling super distressed by all of the drama inside the house, and he really just wanted to go home. According to a certain Jet Neptune on 4chan, who I'm unsure is the real deal or not, John really wanted to go home, and for him to stay on the show, some kind of compromise needed to be made to make him feel comfortable, because he really wanted to go home. You know, he was having a rough time emotionally. It turned out that for the night, they would end up turning off the cameras downstairs so the fish could just enjoy some peace. Downstairs, Cam's down for the remainder of the night. Fish will be enjoying pizza, beer, and cake in privacy tonight, recovering from the turmoil. Get some sleep, guys. Show goes back to normal tomorrow. Now, at this point, from the way this video has seemed so far, I'm sure those who are not actually watching the show are under the impression that it was an unmitigated disaster, and there definitely have been some big issues with production. I cannot deny that. Truly, it seems like those running the show are having a harder time even keeping it up than the contestants are, but despite that, the fan base has grown larger and stronger than ever, and I think that the show making it through this turmoil will only make the viewers even more loyal. I mean, when you're, on the outside watching this, you may think it's some kind of like just overall disaster. Who even cares about this, right? It's just a total train wreck, a new subject of a Sunny V2 video, right? But when you're on the inside of this fan base and you're watching it all go down, you feel a lot more solidarity with those watching it, and you realize just how many people care about this. I mean, the community is super active and super passionate about this show. On Twitter, I'm seeing constant fan art for these guys with their own individual little named fandoms. When Jet tweets about the show, he gets thousands of likes every single time. I mean, people really love it. They relate to the contestants, and they really want to see them succeed in spite of all the the hardships that have happened so far. I mean, this fan base really came out of nowhere in the past week and a half. I mean, it didn't even exist, but ever since then, my timeline has been flooded by plenty of people's updates on it, memes, you know, really just any kind of content that people can produce for it, fan art. They are putting it out actively. I think the fact that it's a 24-hour show and a few of the contestants are really interesting has made a lot of people feel a greater connection to them than they do a normal TV show. Because if you take a show like Big Brother, which is the obvious direct comparison to like a legacy TV show, right, that's similar to Fishtank, I think one of the big differences is that unlike Big Brother, the casts are not all models and aspiring actors, right? They're actually normal people you would find on some 4chan thread or Discord server, tweeting some dumb memes. They're not like the average like wannabe Instagram influencer, you know what I mean? And that has the power to draw in a wider and more loyal fan base really from those communities. And I think that that's one of the strengths that the show has right now. The fan base is just so invested in, and I think that if they continue to, you know, grow that fan base to produce interesting content for them, then no matter what, the show will go on. The fans will fund it. And before we end off this video, how could we forget Daniel, who I speculated was a plant in my last video? And given how he temporarily left the show, came back as a shark, and then came back to the show itself as, you know, Daniel, I'm pretty confident he's mostly aware of what's going on in terms of the sense of humor and vision of it. At the very least, he's acting the most, like he's actively trying to be funny most of the time and be in some sort of character, you know what I mean? But despite that, you know, I'm not exactly pissy about it because he's hilarious. He's one of my personal favorites, right up there with Josie and John, honestly. That's where we need to have a little bit of a conversation, guys, because Vance I liked from the start, you know, I thought he was cool, but John has really stolen the spotlight as the most prominent male just because of the fact that he speaks so much. Like, he won't shut the fuck up about Andrew Tate, about Justin Trudeau being a dictator. There's a lot of funny shit he says, and honestly, for that, I just have to respect the guy, you know? He's bringing that entertainment factor to the show above all else. Vance, meanwhile, I feel like is getting a little bit more active now, but for the majority of it, he's really been hiding his power level. Now, there's so much more I could go into, honestly, but if you want to see everything that happens on the show, then just watch it. Or follow, you know, a bunch of the Instagram accounts and Twitter accounts that are following the show and posting everyday updates. I mean, it's a 24-hour thing. I can never explain every single detail, but it's been a lot of fun so far, and I hope the contestants all come out of it with an interesting story to tell, if nothing else. Come to think of it, I'm actually 100% confident they will have that, given everything that's happened so far. And we still have weeks to go, so I'm sure we'll be seeing something amusing happen in the near future. Probably as I record this video, there will be enough material to record a whole nother video about it. So if you guys enjoyed and want more updates, be sure to like, subscribe, and leave a comment down below with your thoughts on all of this. And I'll see you all in the next upload tomorrow. Go follow my Instagram, TomButDark. Bye.